Welcome back to Chamber Exchange, the TV show. I want to thank our sponsors, Bank Hometown and St. Vincent Hospital, for helping make the show happen. And here in our second segment, I'm happy to have Steve Scavone, who is the Director of Sales and Recruiting for Empowercare. Welcome, Steve.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Good. So Empowercare and staffing, you focus in the area of the healthcare, which is a broad field in and of itself. Maybe you could go into a little bit more detail.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were originally MSG Staffing. So we've been up and running in the city for just under 20 years. We just had our 19-year anniversary 3 weeks ago. And that's when we launched Empowercare. The reason being is we've done primarily medical staffing, RNs, LPNs, MAs, and we want to sort of expand a little bit, get into more advanced practice, doctors, nurse practitioners. My background is in nationwide staffing, primarily for doctors and NPs. So that's an additional division that we're going to be doing with a real focus on mental health and behavioral health.
And NPs, nurse practitioners.
You got it.
Right. And so, I mean, you listen to the news, read the newspapers. Staffing across the board for almost every sector is a challenge, in particular in the healthcare space for a couple of different reasons. People who are maybe close to retirement after going through COVID, who are healthcare providers, said, we're done.
Yeah, right.
And so from people, president, CEOs of hospital systems, you hear it from the nursing home owners and directors, to mental health counseling. How do you fill the void, and how do you kind of go about your work?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, the impact has been trending in a real negative way for about 2.5 decades now, and the trend just keeps getting a little bit worse. For us, yes, it's certainly challenging, but we implement a lot of great strategies to be able to contact the right professionals, be able to expand our business so we have a better, broader reach. A lot of hospital systems do have divisions based on staffing and based on hiring. That's all we do. So we have 20, 30 employees, that 9 to 5, that's all we're doing. Scouring different job boards, speaking to people, attending every service that we possibly can, and trying to develop relationships with the people that we work with. A lot of employees like to go work directly for a facility and work permanently. On a staffing basis, you have a lot more flexibility. Nowadays, it is very difficult for somebody to operate with basic inflation from a 9 to 5, just doing something in one particular box. We have so many different per diem providers working at multiple facilities with flexibility to be able to do so, whether it's because I have 3 children, I have to be able to get them on the bus, or whether it's because I have a sick relative that's at home. And unfortunately, if I'm working directly for a facility, I'm blocked these shifts, and I must go up for HIPAA reasons and patient abandonment. Giving people flexibility allows them to be able to take on multiple different roles at different places and also do their scheduling for themselves, which is a huge factor to be able to work with a staffing company.
Right. But even with that flexibility, I mean, people need to have the right certifications, the training, educational background. So how are you kind of doing that backfill? We hear and see stories about, and Worcester and Central Mass blessed to be traditionally a welcoming place to immigrant communities, people that maybe have credentials and license in other countries that aren't recognized here. Are there ways to kind of engage them and get them plugged in?
There are, and that's something that we do too. So we have a credentialing team that works primarily with anybody that has these sort of obstacles that could otherwise be seen as maybe a do not pass go. There are options for people. We work with them because, again, it could be an H-1N1 visa. There could be 1,000 different restrictions that you might have that working directly with an employer. It's not like high school. You don't have a guidance counselor telling you these things. You can go online to Google to find resources, but even that's incredibly difficult. We do have a very good consultative approach that I'm really proud of. In present day business in 2024, a lot of things are automated in prompts. If I go to the grocery store, it is more often that I'm checking out myself versus somebody else. With us, if you call us or register with us, you speak with an individual. You speak with a person. We go through your background, we go through your credentials, we let you know what different options that you have, we walk you through different options that you have, and we work with so many people. Again, our owner, Jamal Mahijabai, started this company 19 years ago. He is an immigrant that founded this company. So we take a really big stake in being able to help people that might otherwise have restrictions or just basic challenges getting into the workforce to be able to help them throughout Worcester County.
Yeah, and what you just described is probably a unique resource. So if there's someone out there watching or listening, and they've got, whether it be here in the United States or in another country, some level of formal medical training and certification, you can kind of do that analysis, help them get credentials, or let them know what they've got to go through, or plug them in based upon what they did.
Yeah, we certainly can. And sometimes, again, in my background, we would have people that were double boarded in different countries, and certified doctors. They would come over here and they have to do home health assessments, which is typically something you do for an entry-level position. There are certain options and avenues that people are able to take, but it's a case-by-case basis to be able to work with people, understand their situation, and do whatever we can to be able to place them. And we've been fortunate and blessed to work with a lot of great communities throughout Worcester and also throughout New England, Open Sky being one of them.
Yeah.
Fantastic
Open
behavioral
Sky,
health.
a large provider.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, they have 50, 60 different locations, and they're staffing dozens of our employees that are be able to work there from all different walks of life, and again, are flexible to be able to work with
And that's a
situations.
good example out there for somebody who may be an owner or in management of a healthcare provider. It's not mutually exclusive, right?
That's
they
correct.
still have their own HR departments, but then they also can work with Empowercare on staffing as well. So
Yeah, the best way that we put it is, we're not a staffing company, so we're not an extension of what you do. We really want to get ingrained with what you do. I meet directly with HR departments, with onboarding departments, from the CEOs to the CFOs. We want to understand your business, where you're really hurting for, not only for financially from an inability to be able to see patients, but from a staff perspective. That way, by taking on a staffing company, you can ingrain what you're doing with an additional workforce, sort of a core plus flex. We have our core staff, however, in these peak times, we need additional staff to be able to help us. Or we also do temp to perm staffing. So if that's what you need as well, we can be able to fill that gap on a full-time basis. But again, we work with their HR department, we work in tandem with their credentialing departments, et cetera, to make sure it's a real easy fix.
Right. Yeah, that's important, because I think sometimes people think it might be in
They get scared on the front end
either
because they
or.
don't understand. Right?
Yeah, or they think
It's one of the
you'll
other.
put them out of work, right? Yeah,
yeah, you got it. So that was one of the challenges originally when, if you speak to somebody that doesn't work with a staffing company, that's the hesitation of, well, wait a minute, I'm here to do that. If I'm asking you for help, isn't that me saying that I can't do my job? And it's certainly not. We're just an extra arm with additional legs that can be able to help you. One person is one person, one department is one department. We're an entire company focused on this with thousands of people in our pipeline, speaking to hundreds of people every single day. We're just an additional resource to be able to help.
Right, and then you talked about that example that, some people who, because of family situations, can't maybe be that full-time employee to commit. You can provide those flexible hours. The employer has an employee, even though temporary or per diem, providing the care. And there is a benefit for the employer in the back end. If it's a part-time or temporary basis, there's not some of the costs associated with a full-time employee.
Absolutely. We take on everything from food to FICA to 401k, time off, et cetera. That's all covered by us. And again, we did just leave a pandemic, and during that time, if you had employees on, you had to lay them off, et cetera. That doesn't have to be a burden of the employer. That actually comes onto us. They're our employees, so they work directly with us, and all of those additional costs fall onto us as well.
Yeah. So Steve, we've got 2 minutes left, and we talked about COVID and the impact that's had, but you had alluded to, the last 20 plus years, some of the numbers being challenging, less people going into healthcare, smaller pool of potential employees. Where's the trend going as we look forward?
It's unfortunately pretty much the same. The trend is still going that this shortage is not fixing itself. The number's not correcting itself. I'm expecting, because we're seeing those numbers increase in the construction end, where people are going into skilled trades knowing, all right, this seems to be a great route right out of trade school. I can get a job, I can get a career, it's set. The time frame for medical is a little bit longer, depending on what specialty you're coming into. That front end burden of, it is not cheap to get a degree, it's not cheap to go to college, yet a lot of people are seeing those avenues now. They can be able to make money while still in residency. So we just actually placed 2 people yesterday that are currently in residency, but they're still working. Being able to work with a staffing company allows you to do that. I can pick up some additional shifts, so now I'm not just taking on this fully front-loaded debt, and I can be able to sort of survive and be able to get into that. So hopefully that trend continues, because it's a benefit for everybody.
Got it. Well, healthcare, the largest employer in the region, and a lot of entry points. So for people out there watching, they thinking about career change, or kind of counseling young people of where there are opportunities and ladders, healthcare is one of them.
Absolutely, yes.
Good. Well, Steve Scavone, who's Director of Sales and Recruiting for Empowercare. Steve, if someone wants to get in touch, how do they get in touch with you all?
Yeah, empowercare.us. Just go to our website. You can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, all social media platforms. Again, my name is Steve Scavone. Feel free to reach out. I love to answer questions. I get questions from both candidates to employers just asking basic Q&A and entry points. Find me on LinkedIn or social media as well.
Good stuff. Stay with us. We're going to come back for our final segment.
These days, you've got your hands full in life. That's why we help you bank simply and securely with tools like Face ID and Touch ID. It's why we make it easy to make purchases on the go and get cash back while you're at it. why we help you quickly deposit checks wherever you are. And it's why we lend a hand with sending and receiving money right from your phone. So even when you're on the move, you can manage your finances. Bank Hometown. Unlock your potential.
Worcester, a city with heart, history, and promise. A hub of innovation in life sciences, education, and healthcare. Home to multi-generational families, first-generation citizens, and next-generation baseball and hockey greats. Home to great parks, world-class museums, theaters, and restaurants. Worcester, the place to visit, to invest, and to call home.